Hi, I'm Dean Sage.
And I'm Jack Curvin.
And this is Show Me Your Deck,
a podcast where we explore the intersections of oracles and chakras,
using our original decks to create new insights. Episode 30. We're I think we are the age of my spouse. We're the actual.
Oh, nice.
Yes. They won't be in another month and a half. Birthday is coming up, but we had technical fuckery after like several weeks. I feel like almost a month of no technical fuckery. The Rodecaster, the podcasting deck that kind of all the sound comes into, and it has the compressors and the doodads and the whatnots, and has the music, the little dong that I play. Just said nope twice. Had to turn it off, turn it back on again, and then I blew on the little card. Just went old school. Went old school trying to fix it. I mean, when in doubt, blow.
When in doubt, blow.
So I've got my rose quartz obelisk here because we do 2 recordings on a Saturday usually to kind of keep up with our demand here. And I was like, we need a little clarity. We need to clear our heart chakra a little bit for our next reading, so we can get something in the ether that's nice and pleasant. Maybe we'll see. I'm scared now, though. Shall we roll?
I liked episode 29.
Oh no, I did too. But I always like to have nice, comforting.
Reset.
I want nice comforting things as well. Like, the world is pretty traumatic right now, and I just don't want every reading to be about it, because I don't know that I can do that.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, I see what you mean.
I need palate cleansers now and again, because I mean there's other things going on even among the terror and the horror.
Is there? I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Roll some dice, bitch.
Okay. Oh, so we're going to go back down to the haiku.
Okay.
All right. And we're going to get card number 12. So I think this will be in the second cycle, so it should be orange. Oh, okay. Well, it is orange. It's where metal intersects with water. So the sacral chakra is touching the third eye. Metal and water. Noxious metal sludge contaminates clear thought, yields venomous waters. We had this one not long ago.
Yeah.
Noxious metal sludge contaminates clear thought, yields venomous waters.
I asked for a palate cleanser, universe.
Well,
you gave me noxious metal sludge, universe.
Well, this might have even been the one that set the tone for a reading recently, if I remember right. But here we are, remember once again that your emotions, your sensations, your instincts are influenced by the way you see the world, the information you take in, and how you understand what is happening to you. So be aware of how you are filtering knowledge through your emotions and instincts.
And we just had the last episode, which we called Filter. Noxious metal sludge.
So perhaps you need to work on your filter.
I'm holding my rose quartz right now,
trying to filter.
I have some tourmaline and some other rainbow pyramids over here. I've got lots of shapes. The crystal, I don't know why crystal makers like the Egyptian shapes so much. Like, there's never cubes. Like, I think that'd be interesting, like a crystal cube. You
can get cubes, yeah.
I don't see them like primarily. Like, when I go to the shops, I'll see obelisks and I'll see wands and I'll see worry stones and pyramids and skulls. I have a collection of skulls that I like. I keep skulls by my bedside. And we wonder why the psychic emanations that I bring to the universe
I'm just sitting here like smiling. I'm like, So be mindful of the way information is influencing the way you see the world and how that comes forth and impacts your emotions. Do you know how I filter this?
How?
I've unsubscribed from everything. I don't look at NPR. I don't look at Fox. I don't look at the New York Times. Okay, there's always the exception. I kept the Atlantic. But I don't watch the TV. When somebody tries to send me something, I don't open it. That does happen right before this reading.
Mm-hmm.
I was just telling you that somebody just texted me something that upset them that they want to share with me to get me riled up to go do what? What am I supposed to do with this information about whichever insane person is doing whatever insanity? It's like, this is a very good, maybe I'm the one that threw this off because this person just texted me this right before we started recording. So I chose not to even click the link because I know that whatever it will be, there's nothing I can do about it in this moment with a direct action. I understand that a lot of people on all sides of everything are upset about all sorts of stuff. I get it. But me being upset about it for years and years and years didn't create any kind of, I don't know, causality that affected anything I wanted. So I guess I'm swinging the opposite direction now. It's like, no, I mean, I don't want to know. I don't want to be upset. I'm trying to contend with my own mental health, and crazy people don't help with that. Some stuff trickles through on Instagram, but I'm trying to just focus on cats and shirtless muscle models. But, you know, people come flailing through with their, you know, torches. So I do hear some stuff, but I try not to discuss it or look at it anymore because I don't want to be upset about it.
So as a context, you have to clear out the toxic metal sludge sometimes. You have to clean the grates, clean the water. You have to wash away things. I think this is a moment to sort of say, yes, the world seems like it's on fire. But
I remember this coming up very recently because we talked about the question of when are you the environment, when are you the factory, when are you the water, when are you the sludge, when are you the EPA? Okay, I remember this conversation now. Yeah. Okay.
So this is a call to take some time and clear your mind, wipe it away. Like, you know, the backup cameras got dirty from the snow and the salt. You know, you gotta clean that off every once in a while. You gotta give yourself a cleaner, clearer perspective. And it's an action, right? It's a choice that we make. We don't always have to live in the thoughts that we have, right? We don't always have to live in the emotions that we have. We do have control over that. And sometimes you need to kind of wipe it away. How you wipe it away, that's a question that many different people have different ways of. Maybe you have prayer, maybe you have meditation, maybe you have mindfulness.
Hold on. Within the context of this card, it's choosing to learn different stuff, choosing to put different information into your third eye in the first place. Look at something else. Blink. I don't know. You're talking about wiping off the backup camera on a car. Blink, bitches, blink. You don't have to stare wide-eyed at all the terror on the screen. Blink, change the channel, go outside, read a book. I don't know. Anything else. Learn something new.
Well, algorithms are very good at continuing to show you the same thing. Yes. And our lives are lived by algorithms now. And, you know, the news is its own algorithm. I refuse to watch the news. I'm kind of like you. Like, I'll get my news from stuff on Instagram, and God forbid go on Twitter. Like, there was a recent happening event that I saw a picture of, and I was like, oh, that's an interesting picture. And then I saw another picture, and like it was like, oh, something's happening. And unfortunately, Twitter is a place where, like, you know, up to date things can be found. I was like, oh no, something really happened. And then I get messages from work that something really happened. I was like, oh, okay, something really happened. But I try to stay away from it. It's, scrolling through Instagram is nice. At times you do get the kitties, you do get the hot guys. But you also, if you watch one video, it's like, oh, okay, let me show you another video. Let me show you another video. And like you're saying, blink, like close your eye for a second, like close your third eye for a second.
Take a nap.
Yeah. It's okay to give it a break, right? It's okay to give it a break. It's okay to take a step back and just be like, okay, I'm just going to shut my eye for a minute. Like I'm going to disconnect for a minute.
I think what we all need to do, no exceptions. I try to avoid absolute terms, but every single person on this planet needs to take 5 minutes to listen to a happy song by Janet Jackson and chill the fuck out. Just go listen to Escapade. Calm down.
I'll go listen to Vivaldi, your favorite.
Ooh, yes, Vivaldi's good too. But honestly, if we could peel ourselves away from the algorithms and go live a real life outside, I'm criticizing myself too here, but just the outside world is real. It's analog. You can walk through it. Just go for a walk.
It's very easy to isolate. I mean, I work outside the house and I do a lot of people interaction. So when I get home, I want to do 0 people interaction. It's just I'm done. The social meter is done. Most of the time, it's I want to like, can I drag myself to the computer to write just a little bit? Can I write just a little bit? And a lot of days, like yesterday, it was no. It was a resounding no. I didn't even sit at the computer. One day, I was like, okay, I've got a little bit of time. We don't have to go shopping. I've got like 45 minutes of my own to spare between one thing and the next. Sit down at the computer, open the app. Nope. Just immediate resounding. Nope. Not going to happen. Yeah. So I think, I say that to say you need to disconnect sometimes, and even the things that you want to connect to, right? Even the things that bring you joy. Sometimes you need just peace. I mean, people forget about peace. We're so fixated on joy or disgust or outrage or, chasing dopamine. It's okay just to be at peace and just sort of middle's okay. Middle's not bad.
Well, it sounds average, and we're afraid of average.
Very much.
Oh, you can't be average. You're below average. So
yes,
yeah, okay.
Yes, I am in, quite a few things.
There are so many ways that I'm below average. There's some ways I'm above average, but average is the happy medium. It's the happy middle.
Well, I mean, the whole idea that a C is a bad grade, like, no, C is great.
Average.
Yeah. That means you're 75% of the way there. Like, that's progress.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta be okay with being really okay.
I think that people are afraid of being bored. I think people are afraid of stillness. I think people are afraid of the quiet. I identify as an introvert. People wear me out just talking to them. It's like, just sit here with me, next to me, and shut the fuck up and just be present. I don't need to know every thought you think, especially when most of them don't mean anything. Just sit here in my presence and be quiet. I am so fine with that. There are so many people who just cannot do that. They have to be fidgeting. They have to be talking. They have to be jibber jabbering about nothing. Nothing. I was on a phone call yesterday with somebody who made out like the conversation was important. I was like, oh, okay, let's talk then. And instead of having a conversation with me, he started reading me the cells of an Excel spreadsheet while he was doing the data entry. I'm like, what is... I actually called him. I was like, are you really going to read me the data that you're entering in your spreadsheet instead of talking to me? What was the point of this? Just be quiet. Hush.
Be quiet, hush. That's the name of the episode.
Yeah.
Done.
Let's call this one Be Quiet and Hush.
I'm going to pull a card. Yes, this is the one. Ooh, we have the Sovereign of Flames. Are you ready for this one?
What am I free from?
You are free, released from your shame.
Ooh.
Yes. You are released from your shame.
Released from your shame. I wonder, you have a background in therapy and such.
Mm-hmm.
When we look at human behavior, are we looking at responses to shame, generally speaking?
It's at least when I was in school, which is 20 years ago now, there wasn't a lot of work being done on shame. It wasn't really at the forefront. There was some people that were kind of bringing it to the forefront, but no, there was a lot of work being done on cognitive behavioral therapy, which, intersects with shame, but sort of treats it as, it's just like negative talk. It's negative self-talk. You can talk it down. I wholly disagree. I think shame is its own beast because it's a sense of wrongness in yourself, of badness, of vileness in yourself. Not that you did something right. So you're not talking to yourself being like, oh, I fucked that up. I really fucked that up. This is, you are fucked up. It's deep. It runs deep. Yeah. And I don't know. I don't think a lot of psychological theories really account for it, or know what to do with it.
Well, in your system, shame is one of the fundamental, was it emotions?
It's the third chakra.
Third chakra, okay. Well, that's the chakra of action.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm just curious, when we look at the choices people make in terms of their career, or how they respond to something when they are criticized, or when they're found to have done something inappropriate or wrong, the responses I see around me, I can't wonder, now that this reminder has come up, how much of this is based on the shame of not being at least average about whatever the moment is. So I really do not want to mention him, but I can't not in this context. I feel that our current president, the bully that he is, I believe that he is operating from a place of deep shame at all times. That if he's not the best at something, or the most powerful at something, or the biggest, or the whatever the superlative is, that there will be something terrible will happen. When he lost an election, he melted down in a way that's cataclysmic. And the afraid of being a loser, he labels other people as loser, but then he actually lost an election and absolutely to this day still will not admit that he lost it. There's something about shame that is such a powerful fire. And that's actually the elemental we use for our third chakras, action, fire. It's almost like rocket fuel, not just for him, but for all sorts of people. He's just a very visible, oversized example of it. When you looking at the first card here with the emotions and the knowledge, metal and water, and now coming here to fire, these are all the low parts of our chakral system. This is our base levels where fear resides. But what's wrong with making mistakes? Why do you always have to be number one? Why do you always have to be the best? And why do you always have to win? See, here's the issue. In our politics, everybody feels like they have to win. You have to own the libtards, or whatever the issue is. You have to win, and somebody else has to lose. It's a zero sum. And I think a lot of that must be coming from shame.
Oh, 100%. Because shame is way that we drive action, it's in its absence, we are free to have actualized power. We are free to wield our power as we will, to be able to exchange energies and build creativity without feeling like you're in constant judgment. You're constantly being accused of something. But when you have nothing but shame, then all that fire gets breathed out, or it gets closed off completely. You either become shriveled and small, or you react and you act out, and everything is against you, and the world is the problem. And you don't want to deal with the internalized feeling. You don't want to deal with that feeling of wrongness, and so everything else is wrong. Everyone else is wrong.
So within the context of the reading, we're looking at the type of information that might keep reigniting your shame. If you're taking in information that's constantly playing on your fear or your shame, what is a way to address that specifically? Like, let's say, okay, I've got shame about all this different stuff. How do you choose one source of shame and begin to deal with it? What do you do with that?
It's a good question. It's a onerous question, because there's several levels of it, and most of it comes from childhood. The idea of sexuality being shame, right? The idea of enjoying something, right? I mean, the third chakra sits around top of the second chakra, and guilt and shame go together so much. Religion teaches shame. You are shamed for being alive, for being human. You are shamed because you are unworthy, you are unwhole, you are just not a good person, inherently not good, inherently evil. And what that must feel like to live with.
So looking at how a lot of these issues come out of childhood, what is it about the childhood brain that fixates a shape of sorts around trauma? Because if the brain becomes less plastic as we age, and if it is so plastic when we're little, why is it so difficult to have neuroplasticity to come out of trauma? If something can traumatize us so quickly, why can't we recover from it quickly? What's the issue with plasticity there?
Sometimes kids do. I mean, sometimes kids do, but I think shame comes from repeated. So it's pattern. Constant. There's kids that can go through a traumatic event and come out fine. They just don't process it as trauma. And then there's other times where a truly traumatic event. I think movies have made it like there was an inciting incident, because that's how we write movies. That's how we write stories. Is there was an inciting incident, and that incident affected everything that came after it. No, a preponderance of incidents affected everything that came after it, but we can't show that in a movie. We have to show one thing, so we show the one incident that sparked all of it, and then we base the whole character's identity around that one incident. And because it's easy, that's an easy way to tell the story, but that is not our story. Our story.
Do you know what story I'm watching right now?
What?
Dexter.
Oh, I was just thinking of Dexter. I was literally just thinking of Dexter, because that is the entirety of his character is based around this one traumatic moment in his childhood.
One moment.
Yeah. And as though that made him a psychopath. No, unfortunately, you're born a psychopath. It's just a matter of what do you do with that. And some people become very rich and successful, and some people become serial killers. And it's a preponderance, though. Even in that circumstance, it's a preponderance of things. And so the problem with childhood trauma is that patterns reinforce themselves, and we are patterned individuals and beings, and we exist to follow our patterns, and it's very hard to break our patterns. And so we tend to simply relive them over and over again. And that repetition on the neural pathways of a young brain is what leads to plastic adults who have an extremely hard time undoing that sort of pattern recognition.
Okay, so you are free from your shame. I suppose what the card is calling us to remember is that there is the promise of levity.
Mm.
When you accomplish this, there is so much waiting for you. When you put this weight down, you can float. And whatever that process is for you, whether it's therapy or art or, affirmations or reading my book, whatever it is, make sure that it becomes a habit so that it's reinforcing itself. Is what it sounds like the simple two-dimensional answer is right now during this reading.
Well, it's a reminder that you don't have to live under its weight.
And you don't have to accept that it is part of you.
Yes.
It is not you that is the problem. There might be an action or an event that, maybe it was wrong, whatever. But it doesn't mean that it's you as a physical entity with a spirit inside of it.
You are free from it. You have a brain that's programmed to react and follow instincts and things, but you have the ability to change that. So you're released from it. I wrote this very specifically. You're not free from it. You're not overcoming it. You're released from it.
Released from your shame. Okay. Released from your shame. I'm feeling your card next. Sometimes we go back and forth, but I feel like yours needs to speak again.
All right. Let's see what we got. Yep, this one. Oh, okay. We went to the root chakra here. So this is the 9 of seeds. This is the garden is built and in it you sit.
I don't recognize that one.
I don't think it's come up before. It's as you get to the 9, there's a sense of completion. It's 3 threes, right? So there's numerology to it.
Well, it's almost like this is the and the root chakra is about safety and balance and stability and identity and safety. And here we were just talking about being released from shame. And here's the fulfillment of that promise. It's like, here comes the garden and you've built it and what?
And in it you sit.
So there's that quiet and solitude that I was talking about earlier. It's like, just make your safe space, sit in it, watch stuff grow, take care of the little sproutlings, and let yourself be quiet and stable.
In this cycle, you would be released from fear. So the root chakra, you release yourself from fear.
If this had been the sovereign.
Right.
Gotcha.
And then the 10 of seeds is about progeny and going out into the future generations, kind of the expansion of this. But the 9 represents sort of the completion of the cycle's minor journey, right? The minor things. It's not dealing with the major aspects of the suit, but this is sort of a moment of completion.
Right. So when you're going through the process of understanding what information is coming in and how it's affecting you, and you go through the process of understanding what your shame is, and go through the process of being released from it, here you can just sit and look at your flowers, look at your tomato bushes.
Well, it's definitely a call to return. So this is the minor parts of the suit. So this is more intimate, more day-to-day things, but you have your garden, right? You have this life that you've built. And yes, there are themes that overshadow it, but this is a touch grass kind of moment, which, doesn't cure depression, right? But being outside does help it. Being, sitting in your garden, whatever your garden is helpful when you're in bad states. Giving yourself little bits of light and joy in life is helpful. I look at the butterflies behind your head, as I always do. And they are gorgeous and beautiful. And it's things that you've done in your house. You change everything for the seasons, and you have different artwork that reflects the different seasons. And, that's your garden, and you've created it, and you can sit in it and just have a wonderful little moment. And I think that's a great follow-up to you are released from your shame. Like yes, okay, that's a major thing, but we do it small. We do it little bits at a time. Very baby steps through it.
Yeah. Repetitive little baby steps.
Little pitter patter.
Little pitter patters. Yeah. I mean, I love this reading. It started off being kind of scary, but no, I'm feeling better about it. It feels optimistic.
Well, everywhere you have a garden, you've already done this. You've built your safe spaces. You have to remember that they're there, and you have to use them. And yeah, creativity can be a safe space. Reading that same old book again can be a safe space. When I was really, really in depression, when I came off my meds about a decade ago, actually over a decade ago, I had come off my meds, and it hit hard, like it hit real hard. And I was depressed, I think, for a year almost. I was manic for a few months in there, and then, I was depressed the rest of the time. I would just continually watch Sky High and Pitch Perfect on a loop, just over and over again. I
don't know Sky High, but Pitch Perfect, I can see how that would be soothing.
Yes. Sky High is a silly, a wonderfully silly Disney movie that did not do very well, about a high school for super children, the sons and daughters and thems and theys of superheroes and supervillains, and the kind of have this little silly story about the one that doesn't have his powers yet, and then he gets his powers, and he learns the power of friendship. And yeah,
that's a nice movie.
It's a very sweet, very simple. But there's a consensus, a moment where everybody comes together, and we save the school, and we learn that our enemies really aren't our enemies, and we just have a whole thing that comes out of it.
I wonder when we stop believing that, or forget that our enemies aren't really our enemies. When do we stop believing that? Because little kids are ready to accept that. Yeah. Why do we stop acting that way? Why do we stop believing that way?
I think we put up our defenses. So, I mean, you have your garden, but in my book, I talk about you could build those garden walls up so high that you encase yourself in a living sepulcher.
True.
And I think that's where it comes, is that we become so precious about our garden, and we forget that gardens are meant to be shared. And in England, you can walk through the estates and enjoy the landscaping and the gardens. And you used to go visit famous houses and get tours of their gardens and tours of their houses. And there were times, obviously, they were closed, but you would have access to these wonderful monuments that have been constructed, and there was a sense of continuity and community. And
right,
I think
here,
that's lost.
We have built more not far from where I am, and I used to go multiple times a year. But beginning in 2020, 2020 interrupted lots of my patterns and practices. And so I haven't been hardly at all in the last 4.5, 5 years, whatever it is now. Oh, wow. In just a few weeks, it's going to be 5 years since the lockdown started. That is so crazy. But we also had Hurricane Helene come through a couple of months ago, and I haven't really had the heart to go over there to look at all that stuff, because I'm afraid I'll go over there and it'll all be different than how I remember it. So the Blue Ridge Mountains is part of my garden. And so I'm afraid to go look at my garden.
I mean, I think a lot of people are. I think, you brought up 2020, that interrupted a lot of things, and it changed us. And, we'll do studies and longitudinal studies, and and we'll discover just how deeply it did change us. But it changed us. It made us more internal and separated, and we forget to look at our garden. We forget to go outside, and we forget to invite people into our garden.
I don't know about where you are, but still here, restaurants don't stay open as late.
Yep.
They just don't. They close now at 9 or 10. They used to stay open longer because people used to go out more and stay out later. Cinemas don't really, the movies I've been to anyway, most of them haven't seemed to be particularly well attended. I don't know. Go to the mall and there's always somewhere to park.
The mall closed at 6 on a Saturday one day, and I was shocked.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting once we get more time passed from 2020 until 2022, just to see what the long-term changes are, because we as a species evolved to be social. Mm-hmm. And this was a major interruption, but it wasn't really all that long in terms of our existence as a creature. I'll be interested to see how the trends pull us towards one direction versus instinct pulling us back towards something else. Whether or not that's possible.
It's true. It's true. I've got some kitten magic happening around me, so.
I know. I saw a dark colored shape moving behind you.
The children, the little kittens, are loose, and they have come to say hello, and they are ruining the sheer curtains, which we knew we would have to replace anyway. And
they are hastening the process.
They're hastening the process. They are playing through it, and then the little sugar has already come and typed on the computer and is now behind my monitor doing who knows what.
Well, if you disappear, I'll at least know why.
Yes. But I mean, this is a perfect moment. The universe is speaking to us. Like, my little kitten doesn't know. They don't know. They have this little walled garden that we've created for them, and that's all they have.
Well, they're one of the little rose bushes.
Yes. And they require
you got 4 little rose bushes in there.
They require tending. They have thorns.
They have thorns. That's why I called them rose bushes. Yes.
They scratch us. We have scratches. Just speaking of just because we're going off on a tangent, there's this, what I'm pretty sure is an AI video, but this woman with this incredibly large, scar on her hand is opening a door to a house, and as it's happening, I'm like, that's a very large scar. Like, how do you get that scar? Because it looks like a cat. Like it looks like a cat scar. Like we're very familiar with those right now. My spouse is gonna have like 3 or 4 like permanent scars from the children. And she opens the door. Of course, there's a tiger on the other side, and I was like, "Oh, that's where we got the scar from."
That'll
gotcha. Yeah, sometimes your garden bites. Sometimes your garden fights back. It's living, and I think that's why I like the image of this, because even if you entomb yourself, it's still a living tomb, right? It's so the garden is alive, and yeah, there's a sense of pause here and peace and allowing yourself to just enjoy what you've created. I mean, it's privileged of us to say that there's people that, are freezing to death on the streets. They don't really have a garden. But most of you listening, if you're listening to this, probably do have a garden, and, it's okay to sit in it. You don't have to shame yourself into not feeling okay. Yes, you have privilege to have maybe a house, to have a collection of things that bring you joy. That's okay. You can't save everyone. You can't make everything perfect. You can't change the world. It's okay to sit and not feel ashamed of where you are and what you've accomplished. It's better to do that, because then you can return to the world refreshed and able to make better changes, able to make better things better in that world. I think we need one of your cards. Yeah.
Deck number 3.
All right.
These are the intersections, the the abstract cards, the ones that I refer to as flowers. So when I pull cards from this deck, I refer to it as assembling my bouquets.
Bouquets.
We're going to use number 13. All right. We're staying down in our sacrum.
Okay.
We've got more metal here, but how it's influenced by ether, akasha. So the crown. So we're looking at how I feel is impacted by I know, how sensation, instinct, emotion is impacted by your sense of purpose or connection out into the broader universe. Your morality.
Yeah. Well, I feel is attached to guilt, is attached to pleasure, is attached to a great number of sensations that we experience as a human being. And then there's that deep sense of knowing that is both internal, right, from a gut perspective, like we talked about in the last episode, and from a connection to that which is greater. And that's an interesting intersection because oftentimes I think that's an intellectual connection, right? Like we conceive of the greater and it's beyond our ability to conceive, and we think about it or we try to metaphor it or create some sort of access point to it. And really the only thing we can do is feel it. That's the only sensation that we have. Like intuition comes from this chakra, from the second chakra.
I'm pretty sure that the haiku and image in the book for this one would be a compass. Pretty sure.
That makes sense. But you have to feel your way toward it because your eyes aren't going to lead you where you need to go. Your sense is what's going to lead you through this because it's too big to know. Like I know that you have ether, as I know. I almost feel like I can't know. I won't know. It's a different kind of knowing. It's not an intellectual
in terms
knowing.
of knowing something based on simple acceptance as faith. Because with the third eye, you see, and it's interesting because there's knowing from seeing and learning and mentally knowing, and then there's the knowing that happens based on instinct, based on purpose, the different types of knowing. But when I was trying to differentiate between the third eye and the crown, I wanted to go with I see and I know because of the way in which the third eye forces us to examine the physical world, and the way the crown allows us to experience the intangible world.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, knowing the real world includes concepts and everything, but I'm not talking about, I'm not talking about knowing algebra equations. I'm talking about knowing that you belong in this plane of existence and accepting that on faith without using the word faith or I believe.
It's been tainted. It's just been tainted as a concept. It's hard to use the word faith without invoking specific religions and specific religious ideas.
Well, it's interesting because I rolled 12 and then I rolled 13. So this is moving one level up from the noxious waters, the tainted waters. We're coming up above that now. All right, move one step up from the same place. But this place that was, embittered because of what you see, well, how can you calm that back down by passing one level up above that and then understanding more about what's true?
I think we talk about religious experiences, we talk about ecstatic moments, the work that we've done with psychedelics, having just transformational effects on trauma. If you truly connect to something greater than yourself, it almost has to change you. It almost has to leave a systemic effect upon you. Otherwise, I don't think it was a transformative experience. And we have so few of them, but if you are open to them, I think you can have more of them. And this is an example of opening the chakras and being ready to receive. We can't go too far above us. Our root is pulling us down the whole time as we're trying to expand and open and actualize. Our root has us firmly anchored into a physical reality. So we can't go too far, right? We can't reach
you don't
too
want to
far.
float away.
But if we're open, lightning can strike like a lightning rod. If your chakras are open, then whoosh, you can experience that life-altering blast, that sudden connection or realization or experience of something greater.
Something important here that you said. If it doesn't change you, it wasn't actually transformational, and you might not have actually been connecting to something greater than yourself. The reason I say that is because there is a lot of what's happening in our world today that claims to be informed by religion, claims to be informed by scripture, claims to be informed by quote unquote love. And yet it doesn't really look like it. So I guess the reminder here is, as you're trusting your compass, as you're going through the process of having faith in purpose, make sure that your compass hasn't been altered so that you have a false north in the first place. So there are many people who believe wholeheartedly, or at least they say they do, that what they're doing is right. I just don't know. I don't know how some people can actually believe that what they're doing is right. I was trying to justify something that I just don't feel can be justified.
Well, the problem is that you have the image of the compass, and the compass points towards something outside of itself. Yeah. But you can take a compass and you can turn it into a dial, and the dial can simply turn based on something within itself. And you can point it any direction you want based on
the question is to make sure not that it's pointing at north, but whether you're actually holding a compass.
You can very easily turn a compass into a rubric or a click wheel that simply says what you want it to say and points where you want it to point at any one moment.
And how do you recognize when you're holding one versus the other? That's what's tricky, because in number 12, if you have tainted water to begin with, if you're already upset about what you learned, then it becomes harder to see. I see when you're holding a dial instead of a compass in the first place. So you just have to be aware. You have to be checking in constantly. There's the 9 that we just had, this process of constantly going through smaller processes to arrive at a larger accomplishment. So,
well, I think there's a key here. Not one of the chakras is, I think. None of them are. We definitely think, right? We think through all of this. We're thinking creatures. We're reactive creatures too. We're more reactive than we are thinking at times. But it's not I think for the third eye, right? It's I see.
I see.
And I think there's the word, right? I think if you are truly pointing to north, you will feel it, you will see it, you will know it. You won't think it.
Oh yeah. If it's a bunch of logical gymnastics that you have to accomplish to stick landings that are crazy, then that's a problem. If you have to use too much logic to prove a point.
If you have to reason and rationalize yourself to something, it's not true.
It's
north.
A problem. Yeah. Well, and there's times when I will find myself looking at something or watching something, hearing somebody say something, and it'll start off really strange, and I'll be like, okay, let's see if they can Simone Biles this. So you can stick this landing because all the gymnastics you're performing right now is crazy. So, and usually they do not stick the landing.
No, and kind of based off last reading too, you know that which is good, and I think that's what combats the mental gymnastics is you just have to keep showing what's true. This is how your idea affects people. This is the outcome of your effects. So sticking with this reading, we have a sense of finding it's okay to find your momentary peace. It's okay to find your momentary to disconnection from things. You have to connect then deeply with what your true north is. What are you pointing toward? What is the greater than that is important to you? And how are you connecting with it? And how are you avoiding the logical trap of thinking your way to something, reasoning your way to something, when it's probably simpler than you're making it?
Well, and especially if your reasoning always succeeds in getting you to your destination. Mm-hmm. If you can always think yourself into the answer that you want, that is a red flag. If you can always explain everything squarely, there's probably a problem.
What we know is not easily explained.
Correct.
I think I'm going to pull one of mine to end today.
All right.
Ooh, we got some energy going. Somebody definitely wants to come out and talk. This one here. Oh, we're sticking with the earth, the root chakra. This is the seeker of seeds, and that is a bare feet upon empty ground. See what soon can grow.
We've had this one a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Read it again.
Bare feet upon empty ground. See what soon can grow. So this is the seeker. The seeker is about knowledge, planning, the moments before action. They're not the sentinel. They're not the action. They're sort of the pause before the understanding, learning, knowledge, seeking. And in this one in particular, I think it's important, this connection, right? The bare feet, empty ground. We talked about building the garden. This would be designing the garden.
In the touch grass moment.
But this is in a larger sense. So the 9 is about small things, right? It's about daily things. The court cards in the tarot are a little bit more about life actions and life goals and life things, bigger items. This is where you really truly come to master the chakra and master the element. And to start that mastery, you have to start with knowledge and understanding and planning. The the seeds are very deliberate. The seeker or the sentinel of seeds is not, riding off into the sunset. They're taking the horse, drawing the plow, planting the seeds in a row. Very, very small, deliberate actions. And I think that's really true of the root chakra. It's not big movements. It's little seeds.
The sentinel is the next card after this one.
Correct.
So we're starting with a quote unquote blank slate.
Exactly.
Okay. So within the broader context of this reading, in terms of becoming more aware of how information affects you and the way in which you may or may not be acting out of shame, we're coming to a place of beginning again and trying to recognize how the past does not have to be the present. The garden that you had before, it had its growing season. Perhaps it's time to till that under and try something else.
Well, this is a garden that you build for you and for others. So we've in between the 9 and the seeker is the 10, and the 10 is about how your seeds will live for generations. The things that you've cultivated, the things that you've cured, the things that you have gathered will feed your family, right? Your longevity for generations to come. And the seeker is about, okay, I've learned now. I've lived through the lessons of the root chakra. Now is my time to approach it in a meaningful, willful way. So you need to build this garden, you need to build this field and plant these seeds for the greater sense of this, the greater sense of the chakra, which is safety. You're called upon to build safety, and that safety is for you and it's for others. You're really called to build a safe space where people can be free from fear. How will you do that? What are you going to do? What actions are you going to take in the world? How are you going to root safety in your life and in other lives? And what does that process look like for you?
Especially as you're coming through the other reminders of the cards, what are you not going to build into this garden?
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's contemplation it's just as important as what you do as what you don't do, where you till and where you don't till, where you plant a path and where you plant the seeds.
Where you have a water feature or don't.
And what's your purpose? Is it a wild garden? Is it a well manicured garden? What's your purpose?
Garden. For me, it would be a pollinator garden. I want butterflies and bees and hummingbirds, but that's just me. So yeah, building. If you're going to build a new garden, and it's for other people's benefit, then just make sure that the features that you put into it are thoughtful and purposeful.
Well, for you and for others. This is for your community. You're building for your community. You're not building for every single person on the planet. Like that's just not possible and not your job, but you're the community planner right now. You need to live here and you need your community to live here. Who is your community? Who are your people? And then how can you build something for all of you?
Mm-hmm.
We have a members only version of the podcast, a longer podcast where we talk about how the readings affected us. We had a very interesting one just now. So if you'd like to go back and get access to that one, you can go to patreon.com and find us there. We are on YouTube. So if you'd like to see the pretty colors and things that we talk about for our decks, that is Show Your Deck on YouTube. Our books and our decks are available at showyourdeck.com. So you can get access to our decks through our publisher, Jack's book through Jack, and my book through Amazon. I am also on Amazon Unlimited, or Kindle Unlimited, sorry. So if you'd like to just read my book and you are a Kindle Unlimited subscriber, you can just go find it and read it. You don't need my deck. I encourage you to get my deck because I love my deck. I think my deck is wonderful. But if you want to just have the book as a tarot guide or as an oracle guide, you can do that as well. Jack, where can we find you?
I'm at 49 Haiku, the number 4, the number 9, HAIKU. My website is 49haiku.com. And on Instagram, I am at 49 Haiku.
I am Dean Sage Media. Come find me if you like. We do have an Instagram for the show. It's at Your Deck. And we'll say goodbye for now.